What drives a man to trek thousands of miles into a green hell, where every bite of food, every insect, or even the very shadow of a tree could be fatal? It wasn't just about the gold. It was an obsession with a phantom known as El Dorado. For the 16th century European conquerors, this city was as real as the blood in their veins. They were willing to burn down entire civilizations and sacrifice their own souls just to find it. Today, I will take you to a place where history meets madness. We will uncover the truth about the Golden King, the tragic expeditions in the Amazon, and the lake that still refuses to surrender its greatest secret. Welcome to Legendary Past. Today, we explore the curse of El Dorado. The fever didn't start in a palace, but in the dust of the newly conquered Andes. In the 1530s, Spanish soldiers began hearing whispers from the captive natives, stories of a land so wealthy that its ruler didn't just wear gold, he bathed in it. They called him El Dorado, the Gilded One. The rumors spoke of a king who once a year would cover his entire body in sticky resin and then be dusted from head to toe in fine gold powder. He would then sail to the center of a sacred lake and plunge into the depths, leaving the gold as an offering to the gods. Sailors and soldiers in the port of Cartagena sat over maps, their eyes burning with greed. They whispered of streets paved with emeralds and temples built from solid gold bricks. These weren't just stories to them. They were a promised future. Every man who boarded a ship believed he would return as a lord. But as the first anchors were lifted and the ships disappeared into the emerald shadows of the continent, one question remained. Did El Dorado actually exist? The Muisca were not warriors. They were artists of the divine. Deep in the Andean highlands, they mastered the art of tumbaga, a sophisticated alloy of gold and copper. But here is the mystery. There were no gold mines in Muisca territory. They traded their precious salt and emeralds for gold with distant tribes, treating the metal not as money, but as the flesh of the gods. When the Spanish ships first anchored along the Caribbean coast at Santa Marta and Cartagena, the air was thick with salt and ambition. Led by commanders like Gonzalo Jimenez de Quesada, hundreds of conquistadors pushed inland. They didn't just walk. They hacked through solid walls of vegetation and waded through swamps filled with caimans. They were looking for a city they called Manoa, a place where even the kitchen pots were said to be made of gold. Every time they captured a native, they asked the same question: where is the gold? And every time, the natives pointed deeper into the mountains, perhaps to protect their own homes, or perhaps because they believed the golden secret truly lay at the summit of the world. Between 1530 and 1600, it is estimated that over 30 major expeditions ventured into the heart of the continent. Thousands of men, driven by visions of wealth, disappeared into the emerald shadows, and most of them never returned. They didn't die in glorious battles. They were taken down by invisible enemies. The Amazon was a breeding ground for death. Malaria and yellow fever, carried by swarms of relentless insects, turned strong soldiers into skeletal wrecks within days. Scurvy rotted their gums and weakened their bones because there was nothing to eat but roots and boiled leather from their own saddles. Dysentery ravaged their ranks, spread through the very water they desperately drank to survive. It is estimated that for every ounce of gold ever recovered, 100 lives were lost. In some expeditions, like that of Gonzalo Pizarro, out of 340 Spaniards, only 80 survived. The trail to El Dorado wasn't paved with gold. It was marked by the shallow graves of men who traded their lives for a myth. When the jungle refused to yield a city, the seekers turned their eyes to the water. Lake Guatavita, a near-perfect circle of dark water hidden high in the mountains, cradled in the crater of an ancient volcano. This was the true El Dorado. In 1583, the first major attempt to drain the lake began. Under the orders of Antonio de Sepulveda, 8,000 native workers were forced to cut a massive notch in the rim of the mountain. They managed to lower the water by 20 meters. As the mud dried, a fortune appeared. Emeralds and gold ornaments worth millions in today's money. But the greed was never satisfied. Centuries later, in 1909, a British company used giant steam pumps to empty the lake completely. But as soon as the water was gone, the lake bottom turned into thick, liquid cement under the tropical sun. It hardened instantly, trapping the remaining treasures in a tomb of mud. The lake seemed to have a soul of its own, protecting the offerings of the Muisca from those who only saw value in the weight of metal. Even the most brilliant minds of the age fell victim to the golden fever. Sir Walter Raleigh, the legendary English explorer, spent his entire fortune and his reputation searching for a city he called Manoa. In 1617, during his second expedition, everything went wrong. Raleigh was old and sick, staying behind while his men, led by his own son, pushed deep into Spanish territory. The mission turned into a bloody disaster. His son was killed in a battle with the Spanish, and they found not a single gram of gold. When Raleigh returned to England empty-handed and broken-hearted, King James I had no mercy. To appease the Spanish, the king ordered Raleigh's execution. On the scaffold, just before the axe fell, Raleigh's story became the ultimate proof of the curse. El Dorado didn't just take lives in the jungle. It reached across the ocean to destroy those who dared to believe in it. The greatest irony of history is that El Dorado was never a place to be found, but a culture to be understood. The Spanish were looking for a city of gold, but they were walking over the very thing they desired. The Muisca people had thousands of gold objects, but they weren't hoarded in vaults. They were scattered across the landscape as prayers. Today, the only true El Dorado sits inside a glass case in the Gold Museum of Bogota. The Muisca Raft. This tiny, intricate golden sculpture depicts the very ritual that started it all. It is the only proof we have that the legend was real, but it is also a silent witness to a tragedy. The Conquistadors destroyed a golden civilization in search of gold bricks. They chased a shadow and missed the sun. Perhaps the curse of El Dorado is simply this, that greed makes us blind to the treasures that are already right in front of us. Stay legendary.